Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Northside NOW. This is the podcast where we take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick, and with me as always is my co-host, the ever-inspiring Glenn Miller.
What's going on, Agent Patrick?
I don't know, I'm just feeling inspired being in your presence.
Well, we do need to get that cartoon bluebird out of here sometime. I don't know why he's flying around
flitting
everywhere.
around your head.
He just follows me around everywhere I go.
I did notice you like singing outside to a bunch of wildlife this morning,
I was, saying hi to the squirrels and the butterflies. And, just
a deer walked up to you, just ate right out of your hand.
And then the skunk came up and just let me scratch it between the ears. It's just a zippity-doo-dah life for me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been a wild time, and we're back into the full swing of everything again. Yeah. And, one of the things that we learned is those people on the football conspiracy thing with the colors and the preempting of who was going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were right.
They were right.
Yeah. Oh, Agent Swift.
Yeah.
She's bringing the luck or the bad luck. I'm not sure which.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of different conspiracy theories. One being, like I said in the last episode, I think Taylor Swift's being paid to, date Travis Kelce to bring the NFL ratings. Well, some people are saying because she's been a diehard Eagles fan that the Eagles are actually paying her to date Travis Kelce to ruin his game and throw him off, but it's backfired.
Yeah, because the
Eagles lost, and now they're in the Super Bowl. So I don't know. There's just a lot of people speculating right now. And then there's the whole thing about it's rigged, it's all scripted, and the Ravens and the 49ers were going to go to the Super Bowl. Well, now the Chiefs have won, and so it's are there who's paying more money to get their team to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I feel like I'm being drawn in more to this because, it makes too much sense right now. Anyways, we got the 49ers and the Ravens and 49ers.
No, it's
and
49ers
the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs. Yeah.
I'm confused. I'm getting so mixed up. My favorite thing, and we listened to it earlier, was someone calling Taylor Swift agent. They were calling her Agent Swift.
Agent Swift. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say Agent Swift because that's very funny to me. I want to do a life update.
Okay.
Because we are sitting here. It is February 1st as we're recording this. And on December 31st, and we had made this public on our stuff that I wasn't, and you said you were going to go along. So we're going to do some revealing here.
Okay.
So no more soda pops, no more pops, no more Cokes, no more Diet Dr. Peppers after the first of the year.
Yep.
And I am 100% on that.
I am too.
Woo! Way to go.
No sodas. Now, for a bit there, I was sort of overcompensating with some sweet tea, but I've regulated that a little bit.
Yeah, me too. But the funny thing is, I have learned, and I'm drinking a ton of water, which I was drinking some, but nowhere near like I am now. I've confirmed I have to have caffeine in my life.
Oh, I do too. I've been drinking coffee. How are you coming on the liking coffee?
Well, I was told I need to wait a few months before I try.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting.
Smart.
So I'm still waiting. I haven't tried yet. So, but I am paying more attention to all the coffee people around me and trying to pick up any tips and tricks I can find. But so I'm still waiting. But right now, sweet tea has been a bad thing. I do it more half and half, and I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Well, that's honestly what I've started doing whenever I hit up Sonic or Chick-fil-A now.
Yeah.
it's a half and half sweet tea because I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I just can't do the full sweet tea anymore. It's too syrupy. Sweet. It's like I could put it on my pancakes.
Yeah, there is some sweet tea that does bother me. It is too sweet. But, the half and half works good for me. I can drink unsweetened tea like at a meal or home or something like that. For some reason, I need a little bit of sugar in it when I'm here at the church. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I grabbed a Milo's sweet tea when we were traveling.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spit it all over the windshield whenever I was driving. Because like, whoa, that was too sweet. You know? So there we go. Life update. We're doing good.
Doing good.
No sodas.
Yep.
And, my eyes even quit twitching. And so I'm good. I heard another thing interesting. I heard this on a local talk radio. I was just listening to it driving into the church the other morning. And this person was talking about in the 80s when they drove around Jackson, bugs all over their windshield, every day. Yeah. Their windshield would just pick up a million bugs. There'd be bugs everywhere. But they're not having bugs hit their windshield as they drive around Jackson now.
Well, I have a theory for that.
So is there less bugs?
I don't think that, in a roundabout way, I don't think it's because there's fewer bugs. I think it's because there's more city.
I think you're
because
right.
back in the 80s, Jackson was not half the size that it is now.
Exactly.
And there was a lot more, wooded areas and rural places where bugs tend to... I mean, you drive out in the country, you're still going to hit a bunch of bugs because, I feel like you're going to see more bugs in rural areas than you are in urban development. So,
Yeah, when we go to the river and we come back in the evenings or something like that, windshield's loaded up.
Yeah.
But I think you are 100% right. Bugs, habitat, it's all about habitat, right?
Yeah.
And while there are plenty of bugs in the city, it's just not those flying at night bugs. Plus, I wanted to, and we're in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
There are fewer bugs.
There's fewer bugs in winter. Hey, you know what? There's some interesting videos that I watched, found on YouTube. Somebody filmed themselves driving in the 80s in Jackson. And now, granted, it's like on Christmas Eve or something, but they put a camera up in their dashboard and drove around Jackson in the 80s. It's like 1986 or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Christmas Eve. And they just drive around Jackson. And it's really kind of interesting to see just like what Jackson looked like in the 80s. Because you'll see some places that you're like, oh, this still looks the same. And then you'll see places like you don't know where they are. And then it's like, oh, wait, there's a whole development there now. And it's an open field here, But, I didn't see a whole bunch of bugs hitting the windshield in that video.
So anyways, that's what you get on talk radio. And it just cracked me up. I'm just, bugs? We're talking about bugs. Hey,
I feel like that's an easy one to debunk.
Yeah, whatever works. Yeah. We just don't see as many bugs as I did in the 80s. And I don't know, maybe there is a bug reduction. I'm sure there is a little bit.
I also want to ask, how much more were you outside in the 80s than you are today?
Yeah, did you do more nighttime driving?
Do you spend more time outside in the 80s or are you spending more of your time inside these days?
I know I spent a lot more time outside in the 80s than I do now.
Yeah.
A lot more. Of course, I was a lot younger. But yeah. Anyways, so, hey, out there, are y'all seeing more bugs or less bugs on your windshields in the 2020s versus the 80s? So
I wasn't driving in the 80s, so I really
no, you weren't. You weren't. Hey, today we have Annette Striligas and Carin Bote that are from the facilities management team, and they kind of were the interior workers and leads on the renovations that we're going through now. And they have all the cool scoop on what's being done, what's going to be done, where we are in it, and just the whole thought process that goes behind design and upgrading, stuff like that. It's really interesting. They came to the staff whenever, and told us what was going to be happening and showed us the colors and all that, and it's gonna be nice. So
they opened up it was a locked briefcase that Carin had like handcuffed to her wrist, and she opened it up and a light shone out of it. And, and she revealed the secret carpet samples
So, which well, I don't want to ruin it, but the technology in the carpet.
Oh, most people don't realize,
is
what goes into carpet.
and we may talk about this afterwards, after the interview, but just how do you get that gig?
Yeah.
You're a technology carpet person. And I wonder if you do have like swear to secrecy and stuff, because I've heard things that people that used to work at 3M when they were creating like sticky notes and stuff, the adhesives for those sticky notes, that was like a heavily guarded secret or something like that for a long time. So anyways, there we go. So let's open the door and let Carin and Annette come in and fill us in on all the cool stuff going on with our sanctuary renovation. All righty. Once again, we're here with Annette Striligas and Carin Bote. And they are part of the building group of people.
Do y'all have an official title for your team?
Well, we are actually on the facilities team.
Yeah.
And we're the interiors subcommittee.
Interiors. So all right. But before we get into the cool stuff of what is going on with the room, let's just a little bit of your background. So, Carin, let's start with you. So, I mean, why do you know anything about interiors?
Well, I went to school for it.
Oh, okay.
And a little bit of history with that. When I first moved to Jackson in '96, I started working in the design field, and in '98, I started working with Jeff Vaughn and Vaughn Associate Architects. At the time, it was Anderson Vaughn. And Northside Sanctuary was my second project to get to work on.
Yeah.
And at the time, David Comperry was the pastor, and he and Nancy were here, and I got to work with the subcommittee at that time to select all the finishes for the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And so I know about the construction aspects of it from at that time, and then now being a member since, I guess, 2007, 2008, I now get to do it again, which has actually been really good for me to be able to see how things have changed over the years and get to work with a different committee and see the excitement in the church as we are moving forward.
Now, if I remember right, and some people may not realize this, they may see the screen down on Sunday morning in the front, but there's a cross behind that, and there's kind of a bridgey looking thing that goes, they can see that on either side of the screen. But I understand you designed that.
I did.
Aha!
I did.
So you know that space pretty intimately, right?
I do, very much so, yes. All aspects of it. And not only that, but I also worked with a committee, and I believe Lisa Clement was on that committee, to do all the stained glass windows.
Oh, okay.
And we worked with a company out of Memphis to design those and put those together. So every aspect, including the tower outside that has the cross on it, we did all of that.
I love to park my truck underneath there. Whenever it's storming, if someone's already taken the side thing over there, I'll just pull my truck up underneath that thing. It works really well. It kind of looks like a showroom piece for a car dealer or something.
Especially with that Kentucky blue truck.
Yeah, that is a Kentucky blue truck, isn't it? I had to be careful. You kind of, hey, follow that blue truck, and it's like, oh man, I just marked myself. They know exactly.
You did.
That truck does sparkle a little bit.
You did pick a truck that really stands out. You know?
Yes. Darn it. But I love it. So Annette, you know about interiors a little bit, I think.
Well, I'm more the construction side.
Oh,
yes.
all right.
Yes.
And Savers painting and stuff. Even though you've retired, you're still a part of it.
That's right. I still work part time for actually a painting company that's going to do part of our work here. So, but yes, I've been in construction almost 40 years.
Wow.
It's a long time. Makes me really old. So I was a project manager for general construction for a few years, and then Jimmy and I joined Savers Painting with my husband, and so my last 20 years was on the commercial painting side. So yes, I've been around construction for quite a little while.
Yeah. So what we learned is that our lighting system just outlived itself, which is
correct.
I mean, it's just hard to believe that, but it did. Because I come from that. You just have a light bulb and you turn on the light and it works, but these don't work anymore. And so it's antiquated, really. I mean, so it was to a point where it was literally could go in there and turn on the lights and they not work.
Well, and also, with the new federal law changes, you weren't going to be able to buy the bulbs that were supposed to work with it too.
Yeah, so we
had a double.
Just was done.
That's right, it was done.
And who would have ever dreamed, that lighting goes out? I just still think that, the same little socket that Edison made, we are all still able to use those. But things change to, we just can't believe it, but they do. So that really began the conversation, right? Of doing all of what we got going on in the renovation now. So tell us a little bit about once that conversation began, how it kind of took steps from there into what we're looking at now.
Well, where it started was the lighting. We knew we had to deal with that, and then it became evident we had to remove pews in order to do the lighting. And if anybody had looked at the carpet right at the two very center doors for the past year or so, we were actually seeing concrete. So our carpet had reached the end of its life.
Yeah.
So that started the conversation. We have to pull the pews out anyway, which is a major ordeal. Do we just go ahead and look at new flooring? Then if you're going to do new flooring, that involves updating the wall color. That meant looking at the pews and realizing that they needed some attention. So that's what started the ball rolling, was looking at that. And then the other thing that made us really stop and look at that is in the spring of this year, it will be the 25th anniversary of the opening of our sanctuary.
Wow.
So it was also kind of neat to tie all of that together.
Yeah, that's cool. So, so we've taken out, as we sit here today, and this is going to be airing it a little bit later, but as we sit here today, they've scraped up and all the carpet's gone. All the glue's gone.
I know. I didn't get a chance to ride on that Terminator, which I really wanted to.
That was quite a machine.
Scoot around on that thing for a minute.
That was quite a machine.
Yeah.
However, if we take I wonder if we take like the Zamboni down in the gym and like put a new front on it, we could do some scraping instead of some.
You know what? We need to do that when it snows next time. We'll just put a snow shovel and then we can scrape up our grass outside.
There you go.
Yeah. Look at that business.
Come to my house if you end up doing that.
Exactly.
So we've got it. It's all scraped up. The pews are out in the lobby areas, the Narthex area. All that carpet's up, and all the stuff's off the walls, and so they are running just like wild people out there. It's really going well. We were talking about them grinding on something today. So
I made the joke that at this pace they'll be done in about 2 weeks. I think 3 weeks at most.
Yes.
But I was told that's not going to be a realistic goal.
So I heard. Because we just learned that the pews, just refurbishing those pews is going to take, about 3 weeks?
They're saying 3 weeks after they get them back in. So they will put them back in and then they'll refurbish them.
Okay. So this is what I love about this whole process. And there's several different things. But the people who put those pews in there to begin with are also the people who are going to refurbish them.
That's correct.
That's so cool.
There was a gentleman by the name of Jim Hendricks who used to work for Imperial Woodworks, who supplied the pews to us in '97. And the connection there is the woman who oversees Women of Hope was Jim Hendricks' wife.
Okay.
Or is Jim Hendricks' wife. He passed away, unfortunately, several years ago. But he's the one that we worked with to put those in, and they are still in business and reaching back out to them. They also do the reupholstering. So when Annette mentioned that they would be refurbished, they will be reupholstered, so they'll have new cushion and they'll have new fabric.
Okay.
And they'll take care of that for us.
All right. So the pews will be reupholstered, so new fabric down, new cushions. I was unaware of the new cushions. I like that idea. So I thought we were just going to use the same cushions. So cool. So what about the woodwork? We'll shine it up and stuff probably?
The woodwork is not going to be redone because in order to do that, you've got to strip it all down. And that would be more time consuming and a lot more money to do it.
Yeah.
However, the ends of the pews will be cleaned up.
Okay.
Not repainted, but will be cleaned up.
Yes,
Okay.
the ketchup's going to come off of the ends of several of them. I have no idea how it's there, but there is ketchup on the ends of several of the pews.
Man, if you know something about ketchup being in the sanctuary at Northside, you won't get in trouble, but I just want to hear the story, how ketchup got in there.
There have been quite a few mystery stains, I think, that have been discovered throughout this process.
That might go back to some old days youth musicals back in the day that we had in the sanctuary. Back
that's
in the day.
that's a good thought.
And that's some old ketchup.
That's some old ketchup.
See, I'm about 15 years old because that's when Old Paul came around. So the pews are going to be put back in. They're going to be reupholstered, new cushions. Everybody's going to be like bouncing up and down in them because they're going to be all springy and it's going to be nice. What about the carpet? So Patrick and I have our favorite colors we wanted to go with, but
do tell.
Y'all
What
didn't
would
pick
those
them.
be?
My vote was for the orange shag carpet that went up the walls and then hanging some disco balls in there.
Yeah.
I thought that would really set the mood.
And I
you
wanted
know?
just a blood red carpet, and just a real nice red. Reminded me of the church I was in when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the church is fortunate. We chose neither.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Whenever y'all came to speak to the staff, y'all were like, "You two would never be on the committee."
Well, my second choice was, have you ever been in a bus and you see the seats that are like that blue and they got the squiggly lines on them? And that's what I was hoping for, just that, real like bowling alley look.
I don't even want to get started on the bus fabric because
Yeah, Patrick,
I wonder
you're,
about
you're
that
not
all.
going to be on that committee
Ah, dang it.
now or in the future.
Exactly.
So we had green carpet in there, and it's so what are we going with? What's our color of choice?
Well, before I give you the color of choice, we did have a committee. Annette and I did not make the decisions for the church. I brought some options to a committee of people that are in the demographics of them range from.
We went from mid 60s. We purposely chose the committee to represent all age groups. So we went from mid 60s down to either late 20s or early 30s for our youngest one. And we had women, and we did choose women. I'm sorry, but we had a woman.
They tend to have better taste.
Okay. Well, we had a woman from each decade between 30s and 60s on that committee because we thought it was important to represent all age groups within the church.
Yeah.
The older ones that are, very important and have been here a long time, as well as the younger ones who are, they're the ones that are going to enjoy this for the next 25 years.
Yeah, and they'll be the ones that, hey, I remember when we put that,
Exactly.
because I'm not sure, Glenn will be lucky to be here in 25 years, who knows? That's a lot can happen in 25 years. So what colors did we go with?
So we have a mix. The carpet is the piece that determined which way we could go. And rather than going in the yellow and cream tones, we have more of a gray tone. It's not a taupe, but there is a gray tone to it that has a little bit of a warmth to it. It's not a cool gray. And the carpet will tie everything together. We've added some. It does have a little bit of a pattern to it, but when you walk in, you don't really notice that. You will notice it out in the Narthex because of the type of installation we'll be doing with it, which is called a boxed pattern. The amount of space we have out there really needed to have a pattern in it instead of just being a monolithic linear.
Which that's sort of like what we've got down in Hope Hall, right? That boxed.
Okay, so that's a quarter turn.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this will be a little bit different.
Okay.
And will really give the Narthex a little bit more added interest. And then we've done an LVT that looks like wood around our coffee station, our welcome station, and then down two of our corridors on the main floor. And we've done that because of the carpet that is in our classrooms and how, since it's much newer, we've done that within the last 4 to 5 years. We wanted to continue to keep that, be good stewards of our money there. And as that time elapses, then we can add something else. But this was a good breaking point between, and the LVT plank also has an acoustic property to it as well.
Okay.
So, but it's the same carpet on the main floor into the sanctuary, up the stairs, and on the second floor in the summit area. It's just the patterns are a little bit different between the sanctuary and the Narthex and the summit.
Okay, so they're not all the same pattern. They're just a little
It is
bit.
the same piece of carpet, but it is laid differently to create a different pattern.
Okay, cool. So LVT is
Luxury vinyl plank.
all right. And what kind of acoustic, like if you're walking in high heels, it's not going to be going clunk, 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 clunk.
No,
clunk.
it's not like the Pergo that has a hollow sound to it. This is a glue down product that has a rubber backing on it that helps with acoustics. Just like the carpet tile that we're doing, it also has a rubber backing on it that helps with acoustics. we had some people say, well, why don't we just do the luxury vinyl everywhere out in the Narthex?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is for sound purposes. We have concrete walls, and though we have acoustic ceilings, it's not the high NRC for us. So I felt as a recommendation to the church that we needed to stay with as much acoustic properties as we could, but yet update and give a new pattern to the space.
Yeah.
New
More
life
modern.
to it, more modern.
Yeah. That's so cool because when they talk, I realize there's a lot I don't know about this whole thing. And, I mean, who knew that they even had, it's a piece of board or vinyl or something. It's just makes noise or it doesn't make noise, right? So it's good to know that those kinds of things are happening. Now, also when you enter the building from the doors, there's going to be a little surprise there as well. There's not going to be a need for those little carpets anymore, right?
That's right. Those are trip hazards in
yeah.
our world. So we are doing what's called a walk-off mat or walk-off carpet, and it is a 2x2, but it's also a glue down. It's the same level as the rest of the flooring that we're doing, so there's no transition strips. And it's meant to take the dirt off your feet from the
outside.
parking lot before you get onto our carpet, to help save the carpet and make it last longer than if we didn't have that at the front. And again, it's not a trip hazard. So that'll go at our entry doors on both sides of the parking lot to the choir room, not into the choir room, but to it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's cool that you have that kind of technology going into our building.
I'm just excited that the green carpet's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it in your office, though, Patrick.
I did get a square.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do with it. I think I'm going to frame it and hang it on the wall somewhere. But
There you go.
All right. So Annette, will since the carpet's going to be a little bit different color and everything, is that going to change the colors on the wall now?
Yes.
And what are we going with there?
They'll be in the gray tones, as Carin said, with a little bit more warmth to them. So the sanctuary with the new LED lighting, that's going to totally change how the lighting feels in the space, and the new wall paint, it really should feel warmer
Yes, absolutely.
than it does now.
Yeah. And in fact, they've already installed some of the lights on the lower level, and we've seen what they're going to look like, and they are awesome.
I know there's no more strobe effect. So
Exactly.
I don't feel like I'm going to have a seizure when I walk in there anymore.
Yeah, it looks really good. Just from that, I'm really excited to see the rest of it too. So painting wise, is there acoustic paint?
No, I'm
So-
afraid not.
All right.
Well, the painting is just going to be color on the walls. We are redoing all of the trim, so the trim will match the ends of the pews just like it did originally.
Okay.
And so in the back wall behind the choir, where we have accents between the wood columns, that'll be accented again. We are putting an accent wall behind the coffee station, which is going to make that area feel a little different than the rest of the Narthex.
Okay.
So, and then as part of Miranda's package upstairs, she is looking at painting some stripes in some areas and whatnot to make that area child inviting. So we will be covering the artwork upstairs with something more modern, but Miranda has a plan, and the facilities team has approved it to also make that space feel modern and updated.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. So upstairs is going to be worked on as well.
I've seen
Yes.
some of Miranda's design ideas, and I'm kind of excited. I think it's going to look really good.
It is.
It will.
It is. She's doing, and more than just paint stripes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's got a lot of.
She's
other
got a whole
stuff.
plan. Yeah.
She has a whole plan. Yes.
Yeah. See, that's going to be great, and I know people are going to be like, and the kids are going to be like, I want to go up there and be a
Yes.
part of that. So that's awesome because that's what you want to have as well. Nothing's going to be done to the nursery right now. Is that correct?
As a third phase of the project, we will be painting the corridor of
Okay.
the nursery. We'll be pulling that green carpet and painting the corridor only, not going in any of the rooms.
Okay.
So, but yes, this has to kind of be phased a little bit
Yeah.
because we had to bring the pews out to give the sanctuary its space. So then after the pews go back in, then the second phase will be doing the corridors upstairs, downstairs, the Narthex and the lobby upstairs. And then the third phase, we will have to clean out the choir room, which will, and get that stuff out. And then so the choir room and the nursery will be the final pieces that we deal with.
And that's the same carpet
Yes.
pattern and everything. Well, not patterns,
But it is the same carpet, yes.
Okay. So is this carpet? What are the upgrades in carpet in 25 years? I mean, what's the difference?
You went from 25 years ago, really all you had was a broadloom carpet, which is what we have right now throughout the original part of the church, okay, where your offices are. Well, you've got the carpet tile in here now, but it went from a broadloom to a carpet tile. And the pros to the carpet tile are it has a rubber backing on it, so when you make a spill, it does not penetrate and bleed out and spread like it does in a roll good, like we have in the sanctuary. So stains are easier to clean. They're not penetrated through. The other is if you decide you can't get a stain up or you don't want to try to get the stain up, then you can pull that carpet tile up and you can put a new one down. So it's ease of maintenance. It's only a hot water or cold water extraction. You don't use chemicals on it. So you're not paying for extra cleaning services. All you need is an extractor and a vacuum. And it's been great. And over the years, they've gone from the 2x2 squares to linear planks. We are using an 18 by 36 piece for our patterns. But again, they come in the long planks like our wood plank is, or the 24 by 24, and you can mix and match those. You can make designs like if we were going to have a whole youth wing and you wanted to create a water feature through the middle, you could do it with carpet and carpet tiles to make it look like it's a stream that's going through, and put green grass carpet on the sides. So there's so much that can be done with it. But with our particular area right now, we're using the 18 by 36, and they're very versatile, easy to use.
So will that be like on the stairs coming up and down? Will it look like water coming down those stairs?
No.
That would be so cool. You're climbing a waterfall or something.
But there will be carpet on the stairs, and the ones on the stairs will be a broadloom because our stairs are concrete underneath, and they're not made to turn a lip. And so it's less expensive for us to go back with carpet than it would be for us to do the rubber treads and risers. So we will have carpet on all of our stairs. And it'll be the same pattern. It just won't have the rubber backing.
So that you're talking about in the sanctuary?
In the sanctuary.
Those are concrete stairs going up? I didn't know. I thought they were wood.
The choir is wood.
The choir is wood, but,
yes, but coming up.
The sides aren't. Cool. So, and will that be the same carpet that's in the lobby or narthex going up to the upstairs?
It's the same carpet everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a different technology on our steps than it is on the rest of the floor.
I mean, who knew that carpet was so technical?
Carpet people.
So, I mean, because it really does. I mean, we built a house 3 years ago, and so we got to look at all different kinds of carpets, and I just kind of shook my head, because I was, again, all the women were in there looking at this and moving stuff around, and I was just like, because our builder, Keith Hatchett, was like, just come in here with me. It's a lot safer. Just leave my wife, Kim, in there, and Barbie, and her mother, and y'all have fun. So, but there's a lot more to it. So let me ask you both, because you both have worked in this industry and this part of the stuff for so long. And I love walking into buildings when you walk in, you look at the colors, you look at the schemes and all that stuff, and you say, someone really thought this out. The furniture's right here at this spot. There's someone thought all this out before it was done, right? So I don't even know how to ask this question. My question is, how do you see that before you even get a chance to, when you just walk into, it's concrete floors, there's nothing in there. So when you walk into a building or you look at plans or something, how do you begin the process of visualizing how that's going to look and how it's going to work?
I don't typically until I meet with the owner or the committees that we're working with to get an idea and a sense of what it is they want, what their needs are, what the function of the space is going to be. Once you get that information and then understand if there's a budget, what that budget is, then start working in to what options are available and just start playing with some ideas and usually bring 2 or 3 to the table and go from there.
So Annette, whenever you were working on this, you would go visit with clients and they would probably do the same thing. We're building this and we would love to have blue paint in here. And you were like, this might not work that good. So
Well, the good part of what I did with commercial construction was most of the time we did have an interior designer like Carin or someone. So by the time it got to us, there had already been a professional involved. On the few projects that was not the case, yes, you would listen to the owner, but then you would try to guide them in what you thought, and I'm sure Carin does this. I know she does. Guide them into what you think is going to be the best for the space, best for the use, help them to understand the things like acoustics and wear and how this is going to look in a certain area with windows or no windows or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is the customer's choice.
Yeah.
So that's why we were very blessed to have a very good interiors committee here, the subcommittee that helped with these selections.
Yeah, because we've been joking around about carpets, and Patrick and I have. We understand this a little bit more than we are leaning on a tad bit more, but not much. But I can only imagine that would be kind of a wild process sometimes because you're just.
I love it.
Do you go home and not going, I just want to know how these people grew up? What made them think that would be cool? And this question is for the three of you because Patrick has as much input into this because this is what he does. So a big space like that, and we sing in it a lot, we worship in it a lot, we video and record everything we do. This is the new state of where we're at. Every church does this, right? So why, we've mentioned acoustics so much today, why is that important to a worship space or to a building like ours?
Well, from my perspective, clear speech, music intelligibility, all that is sort of essential to what we're doing on Sunday mornings because we want people to hear what's being said. That's kind of the whole point. I can't remember the scripture off the top of my head, but basically the scripture says hearing is essential to believing. He who hears will have faith. And so from my perspective, I want everyone sitting, no matter where they're sitting in the space, to be able to hear and understand what's being said. And so if there's weird acoustic hot spots or if there's, a dead spot here or there, we want to try to eliminate all that. And the point of the acoustics is to help shape that sound so that everyone, no matter where they're sitting in the room, can hear everything.
Yeah. Which is what Jesus did. People I don't think they think about this very often. But if you look at scripture, there's a scripture where they're all at the sea and people come up to the and Jesus says, put me in the boat and push me out a little ways. Why did he do that? He did that because his voice would reverberate and bounce off the water. And there's 5,000 people. They don't have any amplification. That's the reason he used that. Sermon on the Mount, often he would be above and speaking down, or depending on the other things, maybe he would speak up into. But he knew how to position himself for the crowds to hear him. And so this is not a new thing necessarily. This was thought about 25 years ago, right?
It was.
So
It was. And the acoustics for the sanctuary come from three main areas. It's your ceiling, your walls, and your floor. And the only thing that we can do now, I say the only thing, there's two things we could do now if it needs improvement in the future, would be to add acoustical panels to the back walls, the very back walls, not the choir loft, but the back walls.
Yeah.
And or to change the ceiling tiles in the ceiling. And we did look at that, but it was not feasible to do at this time.
yeah. Well,
I was trying to make the scripture too complicated.
no.
I thought
Romans
you did a great
17
job.
says, so faith comes from hearing and hearing the word of Christ.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I was trying to think. And that's in Romans 10:17.
And it is important to hear that so that the gospel is communicated clearly. We're not trying to be a concert hall or anything like that. There's no desire for that.
No, it's actually sanctuaries and spaces of worship are kind of trickier when it comes to acoustics and sound design and all this kind of stuff because most places are either built for speaking, which has its own set of parameters for what's best for clear speech, but then concert halls and places like that where it's primarily music, that has a whole separate parameter. But in a worship space, you're trying to do both and trying to get the best setup for both speaking and the music. And yeah, it just gets a little trickier.
Yeah. So after the sanctuary area is done, somewhere down the road, we know that our lights in Hope Hall need to be upgraded. But that's not as crazy because you don't have to refurbish pews and we pull up the chairs all the time. It's not a big thing. So, will there be anything else to Hope Hall, or expect anything else to Hope Hall besides the lighting, or?
No, that's the only upgrade, and that'll wait till everything else is complete. And we really kind of need to see where we end on our Lighting the Future campaign. That's, because it's important to upgrade Hope Hall, but it's also important. We're in a really good spot right now at 53% committed to the goal, but we want to get this part done and see where we are, and then we'll address the Hope Hall lighting issues. So it is a part. We do hope that everything comes in to where we can just move right on and do that, but we will kind of stop and take a second look at that point.
Well, cool. Anything else that we've left off that is important to say? Because I want to make sure that if y'all thought of something I didn't think of, so.
In discussing this, I felt it was important for folks to know that we looked at updating, and we looked at a lot of things, and we feel that we've accomplished that, but it has also been very, very important to us to be good stewards of the church's money.
Sure.
Were there other and more things we could have done? Yes, but it would have just meant more money needed, et cetera. So we tried to strike a balance, I think, of updating the space, making it nice and modern, doing the things we needed to do, but also being good stewards of our money, since we do still want to pay off Hope Hall as part of our campaign.
Yeah, I think y'all done a good job. Last night I was on something in I'm going to say Mount Juliet, in one of their high schools up in Middle Tennessee. Their gym now has like projectors that go down on the floor, and they can put like real live video on their gym floor. And so, you can really get out there and do some crazy stuff. And
that's coming in our next.
That's Lighting the Future in 25 years. Yeah. So, but you do want to be good stewards. That is cool to see, but it doesn't affect worship. And what we want to do is we want to enhance worship by the space that we have, and it's called a sanctuary for a purpose, and so we want to make it that. So, well, thank y'all for your hard work in the committee. And I know there was all kinds of input and all kinds of people's opinions and things. Whenever you start changing things, it can be that, but I think y'all done a wonderful job, and we thank y'all for your hard work and diligence in this project.
Well, thank you. We just ask for patience during the next few months as it all starts coming together and starts to take shape.
All right,
and that everyone gets excited about what's coming.
They should. We did get to see the carpet tiles the staff did, and a computer drawing or something of what it could look like.
Yes.
So it was cool. It was cool.
And I've been posting weekly progress pics on our social media. So if you haven't seen those yet, go check out. I've only posted a couple of times so far, but yeah, I'm trying to post weekly progress pics to keep everybody up to date with what's going on.
I've heard a lot of people very happy that that's happening too. So.
And with those pics, if I could make a plug for safety, please, Patrick.
Okay.
This is a construction zone. So we really ask that people please, unless you have a reason to be past the doors from Hope Hall into the sanctuary, like the Journey Sunday School class naturally has to go to the chapel. The nursery, and the Journey Sunday School class has to go to the chapel for Sunday school. But unless you have a reason to be past that, we ask that you please stop. You can damage some of the construction processes that are going on by walking through there, because you don't know that something has been leveled or glue or something. And it's also for a safety reason. Those folks are working in a construction zone. They have lifts. They have various processes. They have doors taped shut for a reason, to contain the dust or contain various things. So we really just ask that people please respect that and try to stay out. We know it's exciting, but it really is a safety issue as well.
Yeah.
And look forward to the surprises that are coming.
Correct.
Yeah, because it is. We do have several people going down to see. I think they attribute the saying to John Wesley, but I've read some things that John Wesley may not have said this. But there's a statement that says, set your church on fire and people will come watch it burn. And that's kind of what we're doing, because people are getting excited, and they're, that's kind of what it means. But you don't literally have to get that close to the fire, folks. Just
Just go on the
wait a
Facebook
moment.
page and look at the pictures.
Look at the
Exactly.
pictures. Look at the
Patrick is
pictures.
doing an excellent job of showing everything that's going on.
Just wait a minute. Nah, we're not good at that. But yeah, do please try because it is important. We don't want anybody hurt. So, well, thank you, Annette, Carin, for coming and being with us and all the work y'all have done.
Thank
We
you.
do appreciate it. So, there we go.
So there we go.
There we go. And see, we told y'all there's a lot of tech
Yeah.
stuff involved. I mean, the thing that flooring is, even like that vinyl plank, they can play with it at a point where it does affect the noise it produces and stuff.
Well, and I appreciate you asking me the questions, because I don't get to talk about,
Your stuff.
the importance of a good sound system and good acoustics and,
Yeah.
clear sound. That's the, yeah. So I
Well, it
appreciate
is
that.
important.
Yeah.
And it does aid in the ability to worship. Yeah, you can go out in the field and worship. No, we're not saying that. But if you're inside, it can
Yeah.
be bad. I remember as a kid, that little old church, rural Texas, probably had 15 people going to church there. The piano player hit the keys harder than Jerry Lee Lewis ever could dream of doing. And even when my dad spoke, he was a preacher. Whenever he spoke, they had just a really bad sound system. He was like early mid 80s, early mid 80s, really bad sound system. But they could afford it. It was great, but half the time he wouldn't use it. But it was just real. You clap and you could hear all kinds of reverberation because
Well, and
everything was hard.
And that becomes a distraction.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
And so it almost kind of hinders, being able to hear and understand. I just did a talk on this. Was that a couple of weeks ago?
Uh-huh.
And I talked about all of this, the importance of clear sound and all that. And I actually used the Sower's Cove example that you brought up as well.
Yeah,
Jesus, the parable
yeah.
where he went out into the boat, because that's fascinating to me. I like to say Jesus was an audio engineer when you look at that, because he literally created sound. So he just used the natural acoustics and physics of that space, because it's like, why did he go? It says he went out into a boat and he sat down and he preached to the people. And it's like, well, why would he do that? Why would he get further away from the people? He didn't have a sound system.
Yeah.
Well, if you go about 30 feet out on the water is reflective and it'll reflect up the hill. But it's like, well, why did he sit down? Well, because if you're standing, you're like at a 23-degree angle off the water versus a 17-degree angle sitting down, and you just get more reflectivity. There's a natural 4-mile-per-hour wind that blows into that cove that kind of helps the sound carry up the hill.
Yeah.
If it was a 2-mile-an-hour wind, it wouldn't make it up the hill.
Wouldn't go as far.
If it was a 6-mile-an-hour wind, it would be strong enough to break the water up and create waves, which would destroy the reflectivity of the water. And there's just lots of little things like that Jesus had everybody sit down on the hill. Well, why would he do that? Well, people standing absorb 70% more sound than when they're sitting. And when you're sitting, you're not blocking the person behind you, and the person in front of you isn't blocking you going up the hill. And they've done studies to where you could have 11,000 people on that hill.
Yeah.
And you could stand out there or sit out there in a boat and be heard a quarter mile away, and 11,000 people across that hill could hear you in just a normal speaking voice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if, like, as Jesus was being pushed out in the boat, it was like, we don't know if he said it or not, but I wonder if he was thinking, all right, wind 4 miles an hour. That's what we need right
See,
here.
that's the thing. I don't think he had to do any sort of crazy miracle to make it happen, because he had already set up the physics from the beginning of time. God knew that was going to happen and built that amphitheater in creation for his son. He built what
But
would
he
be
didn't know
about
the wind speed for that day.
yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't think he had said on this date the wind will be 4 miles an hour.
Well, and that's the thing.
It's kind of like fishing lunar things. Like, today's a good day to fish.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Well, it's like it's a pretty consistent 4 mile per hour wind that blows pretty
right there,
constantly in that cove. It kind of, the way the cove
Stays,
is.
yeah.
It's pretty consistent.
That's funny.
So I don't know. I think it's all pretty interesting. Now, there is another interesting aspect to all this that I like, but something I learned over the last about 100 years since amplification really became a thing, and you saw like, microphones starting to become a thing, and people have had a 25 decibel shift in their hearing over the last 100 years.
I'll completely believe that.
Before 100 years ago, people could hear better than they do now, which is our ears have a natural suppression to them to protect our hearing that most people don't realize.
Yeah.
And because things have gotten louder and louder and louder, our ears have had a 25 decibel drop in what they can hear. So things have to be 25 decibels louder now for us to hear them the same way as people 100 years ago.
Well,
so when you think about your grandparents told your parents that their music was just noise and it was too loud and turn it down, and then your parents told you the same thing, and now you tell that to your kids, it's evidence of that shift. Because
and think too, you're coming from 100 years ago. You're coming from, depending on where you lived, you probably, if you lived out in the country somewhere or something, you probably still have to worry about like a wild animal coming in on you at night, right? So you need to be a little more attuned to it. You didn't listen to, I fall asleep with the TV or music on every night. So you didn't have that kind of white noise going on. You probably didn't have a lock on your door, really, of much to say. So you didn't worry about people coming in and killing on you. Whereas today, I mean, yes, all those things still happen, but at a much, much less rate, I think, than did then.
Well, and it's just interesting to look at even like, presidents would give an address. Or, like when Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, he didn't have a sound system. You know? It's like, but how did all those people, and it's like, you look at, all these town meetings and things that happened where 1,000, 2,000 people would show up. How did they all hear?
Yeah.
Someone without a sound system. It's like, it seems kind of unfathomable now to be able to do that, which, to be honest, it kind of is.
Well, let me tell you as someone who sits here with messed up vocal cords because of years of no sound systems and speaking very loud and not taking as good a care of the vocal cords as I could have. I need the sound system now.
Yeah.
I couldn't preach out loud like that now or teach. I could either sing in church or I can sing and teach in church. I can't do both. Or you won't hear me the last half. So, but I do know, like at camps, if we were at a camp, like Camp Bridgeport in Texas, where I did so many camps, the wind would often blow from the speaker, would be at your back. So it'd blow past you and you would be speaking to, like on Vesper Hill, you'd be speaking to the kids and they would take your voice with it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you don't realize things like, it's all science. So things like, sound travels differently at higher altitudes than lower altitudes. And I'm going to say this backwards probably, but when it's warm outside, sound actually goes up, and when it's cold, sound goes down. Yeah. And so if it's cold outside, you want to be higher so the sound will drop. But if it's warm outside, you want to be at the same level or if not lower, because it'll kind of rise a little bit. Yeah. And so it's just all, people don't realize these things.
There's a lot to it. Yeah.
Which is also why a lot of pulpits were higher.
Yeah.
Because sound drops naturally, because especially when you're inside, because that's just the way that sound works. But
well, and like in Central America, they would have those really high pulpit deals, and they're marble floors and stone, columns and all that stuff too. So everything reverberates back and forth. But that's how you did it with no sound system. Some of those still don't have sound systems in them. Yeah. But it is cool to be in a place that is acoustically designed to move sound. That is cool. And so it's interesting stuff. It really is.
I don't know. I just always come back to clear speech and the music intelligibility is sort of key to the learning about the gospel, because you've got to be able to hear it, but you've got to be able to understand what you're hearing.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
For there to be any sort of, transformation to happen. Yeah. And so if you can't hear, if you can't tell what's going on, like if you just hear like the preacher sounds like, one of the parents from Charlie Brown up there, you're not going to, that's not going to change your heart. That's not going to, teach you anything about God.
No. And there's enough noise, That's another thing I think I like about sanctuary situations is there's so much noise in life, and that's one of the places that I can tend to go into and still just kind of focus there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I hope sanctuaries and worship spaces don't ever lose that ability. Hope people tend to see those as holy ground places, not where there's something magical there, but just where they can sit and soak and listen and worship and be a piece of life in that way. So, yeah, cool stuff. So ours is Renovate, and I appreciate Annette and Carin and the team that was all those that were on the team for their hard work. And our workers are just, man, they're killing it out there.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? They're moving quicker than I thought they would.
I know, and they're telling us it's gonna get a little more slow. And I get it. I know it will, but I don't know.
I think they're just sort of like, prepping us just in case it does slow down.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. So it does sound like the pew part is, and that's where I figured it was
going to take a little time.
It's going to take a little bit of a moment or two, but you know what?
Yeah,
that's kind of what we figured.
And like she said, tearing stuff out always goes quicker.
Yeah.
When it goes back in, it's almost like you have to put things back in a certain order. And so some things may have to wait for other things to get done before they can go back. So.
Yeah, I always wonder if like professional carpenters and stuff and professional craftsmen like that, Glenn, and he goes out and starts a project. This will take 10 minutes, and 4 hours later, I walk in the house or whatever, I'm like, it's done.
Yes. I am feeling that one right now because we've just moved into a house.
Yeah.
And there was a space that needed we had to fix a wall in one part of the house, and I was going to start this project. I was going to build like a built-in bookshelf, and I was going to make it real nice. We're going to hang the TV on the wall, all this kind of stuff. And my goal was to be done by the end of January. And as we're recording this, it's February 1st. And I am not even halfway through this project yet. It is taking a lot longer. But I heard a quote that has given me a little bit of a piece, a little bit of inspiration behind it, is that the mark of a true craftsman is not in his ability to get it perfect the first time, but it's in his ability to cover up his own mistakes.
There you go.
I like to apply that to a lot of aspects of my life. It's not about, you don't have to get it right the first time. You just gotta learn to cover your own mistakes. And it's all about those adjustments, making those adjustments. So.
I mean, that's where molding came from, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, that corner is just not working. We'll put another board over the top of it. Call it molding.
Yes.
There we go.
That's what I've been doing with this bookshelf is covering my own mistakes.
Come see my molded bookshelf. That's funny. Hey, so tomorrow is Groundhog Day, so I guess we'll find out what our weather's going to do for the next 6 weeks tomorrow. Yeah. So, hang on for that. Why do we still do that?
I don't know. I always root for more winter.
No, I can't do that this year. I have fishing aspirations that are starting to get pretty strong. So we need it to warm up a little bit. I don't mind cool for a while, that's for sure. But I would be okay with no more snow days.
Yeah.
So, but hey, I think we have a few things coming up. Ash Wednesday?
We have a couple things. Well, before Ash Wednesday. Before Ash Wednesday.
New.
We have Parents' Night Out.
Oh, cool.
On the 9th, February 9th. So as you're listening, it's this Friday.
Yeah, this February. Yeah.
It is this February, but it's also this Friday. God bless. This Friday night, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Kids 8 weeks to 10 years old, $5 per kid with a $20 max.
Cool.
And that will pay for pizza. So we're gonna order pizza for all the kids. But that's the Friday night before Valentine's Day. So if you need to drop your kids off to get your Valentine's date in a little early, so you're not having to fight the restaurants on Valentine's Day, or if you need to go shopping or take a nap, whatever you need to do, you need a couple hours without the kids.
And just remember, this is my annual warning to everybody. If you're going to be in Jackson, Tennessee, I'm going to go ahead and push it back to that Saturday night. Friday and Saturday night is probably going to be really busy on Van Drive.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Valentine's is on a Wednesday this year.
It is.
So that's kind of weird.
The weekends on either side, I feel like, are going to be
Be
very
tough.
Tough.
Especially that first one.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be nasty.
Yeah.
It's worse than Christmas if you're not a Jacksonian, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
Van Drive around Valentine's Day is worse than Christmas.
Yes. Consider taking your Valentine to a restaurant not on Van Drive.
Yes. Yes. Well, in fact, Barbie and I have in the past started going to like something where it's like in some little town adjoining us.
Oh, that's cool.
Because who wants to fight it?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is where the restaurants make all their money for the year.
Yeah. And besides, on Valentine's Day, you should be here because it's also Ash Wednesday.
Yes.
And we're going to have our Ash Wednesday service. It's going to be a little different. We're going to be in Hope Hall this year, but it's still going to be at our 6:15 time and with no Bible studies after that. So
Yeah. Always love that service.
Yeah.
It's a great service to be a part of and start kick Lent off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always good to do.
Yeah.
Always good to do. The something new that we're just now working out with you, outreach team just met.
Oh.
And so we set our first quarter mission project.
Ooh, I don't know about this yet, so
yes,
tell me.
Yes. So we're doing hygiene kits this year. We're going to be collecting the stuff for hygiene kits.
Okay.
And with the renovations, so there'll be some boxes down around Hope Hall, and there'll be a box underneath the little sign where it normally is. And probably one up here by the office. So if you just want to drop it off during the week. But what we're going to be collecting is the things for the hygiene kits, which will be a comb, Band-Aids, washcloths, toothbrushes, toothpastes, any size toothpastes, bars of soap, any size. It can be the bigger bars or the smaller ones. Quart bags, snack bags, and gallon bags.
Nice.
The Ziplocky
Yeah.
baggy kind of things. So, and then we're going to pick a date, and we'll have that in our next podcast. The whole church is going to come together and pick a day. We'll do it in the gym or Hope Hall or something, and have a packing day where we create these health kits or hygiene kits.
Yeah.
And we're going to use them locally. And we've been contacted by some agencies that some hygiene kits would be great to have. Then we're going to use them on our international trips that we have for the rest of the year, and keep some in reserve in case there's some disaster type things that happen or something like that. So anyways, that is kind of what we're going to be doing for the first quarter.
Yeah, that's cool.
So all of February, Sundays, Wednesdays, whatever you can, bring these items, and it'll be a good time. And it's going to be fun doing that creation day when we get to create them.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We're going to do a little contest. Again, we're going to tell you more about this next week, but a little contest and some other stuff that was going to be fun.
Yeah.
So you're ready for that.
Yeah.
And I guess our next episode, we will have the completion of the Super Bowl saga and Agent Swift.
And Agent Swift, yes.
A choose your own adventure book.
No, but on the next episode, we will have something fairly monumental that we've been trying to accomplish for a couple of years at least now, and we finally were able to pull it off. So,
Well, actually not quite that long, but it felt like it.
it's felt like a couple of years.
We get all three pastors in on the podcast at the
getting-
same time.
All of the pastors in the same room.
Historical moment. That's going to be fun.
Yes.
And so they're going to be here. We do have. I'm excited about who we got coming. So the pastor's going to be here. So you got this update. You got the pastors coming. Then we're going to have a friend of ours, Adam Clark, who grew up in this church in a youth group and stuff, and he's going to come and talk to us about his life and some of the stuff he's doing. And we'll tease out a little bit more later. But Adam's awesome. And then Janae Bryant
yeah.
has been on the podcast a couple of different times. And she's coming to talk to us about a mission work that she's going to be doing later this year and need some fundraising. So she's going to talk to us about that. So that's going to be cool too.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up.
February, all of February.
All of February.
It's going to be good.
This February. Well, Glenn, thanks for podcasting with me. Thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside NOW Podcast. Go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Agent Glenn.
And that's what's happening at Northside NOW.
We're out.